Producers now at 52-week highs. They're the next down the risk spectrum, and investors are piling into those, not at the numbers that they will. And as that what's next opportunistic investor, we'll see capital begin to flush out a bit more into the developers and eventually the explorers. Now, my ability to time that cycle does not exist. I wish I could. If so, I'd be retired. That's repeated, not just in mining, but in every single investment trend that you can find. One pillar idea or company leads the way, and then investors look for the what's next opportunity. That will happen again in precious metals. We're seeing the early stages of it now. The physicals run, the producers are next, and they are moving to 52-week highs. But what's next is the smaller companies further down the food chain, timing that's near impossible.
The current investment trend in precious metals shows producers reaching 52-week highs as investors shift to the next level of risk. This cycle, standard across industries, typically sees capital flow from physical assets to producers, developers, and explorers. While the timing of these shifts is unpredictable, the pattern is clear, and the early stages are already visible in the precious metals sector. Jay Martin, a prominent entrepreneur and investor, explains that Canada has immense potential to be a global leader in wealth per capita due to its vast natural resources and strategic position in the global market. However, federal overreach and misaligned leadership have hindered this potential. Instead of focusing on its strengths like natural resource production, Canada has pursued less effective initiatives, subsidizing electric vehicle manufacturing and promoting hydrogen power while neglecting lucrative opportunities like natural gas deals. The current leadership is compared to a coach forcing a championship basketball team to play soccer, ignoring their proven strengths. A significant change in leadership and a focus on resource-driven economic strategies are essential to unlock Canada's potential. Historically, Canada has demonstrated its ability to thrive by leveraging natural resources, as seen during the 2008 financial crisis, and it can do so again in the right direction. Jay Martin highlights that Canada has the potential to remain a top-tier mining jurisdiction due to its vast resources, such as being the world's leading uranium producer. However, overregulation and bureaucracy have made it a frustrating place to do business despite its predictability. Strong federal leadership is needed to streamline processes and fast-track projects, ensuring Canada capitalizes on its strengths. Argentina's cautionary tale highlights the risks of poor policy. Once one of the world's wealthiest nations due to intelligent immigration and resource exports, Argentina's shift to populism and socialism after the Great Depression led to 90 years of stagnation, culminating in hyperinflation of 33,000% by 1989. Canada must avoid similar pitfalls by focusing on effective governance and economic strategy. Watch the full video for more insights, and don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated.
Canada has products, and we have direct lines to the consumers, but we need federal regulation that supports that. I mean, truly what Canada needs in the leadership seat is somebody who understands their role is to be a deal maker. And what that really means is just clear the path for the provinces to conduct business as they see fit. But we've right now got a lot of federal creep into these provinces, and so the opposite is happening. Canada's got a lot of leverage. It's a colossal country, right? I mean, this is a landmass that's bigger than the United States with the same amount of people as California. So it's gigantic, and there's almost nobody here. But the natural wealth that exists beneath the core means that Canada has the potential to be the wealthiest country in the world on a per capita basis. But you have to play to your strengths if you want to realize that potential. And we have not been. We've had a leadership who's been shutting down natural gas deals when Germany and Japan show up at our doorstep offering to pay distressed prices for a natural resource that we have in abundance because they need it that bad. And our leader says they can't make a business case for it and instead proposes hydrogen power, of which we don't produce any. The same leader who decides to subsidize electric vehicle manufacturing in Canada. That's not what Canada is known for. We do a few things extraordinarily well. When we produce natural resources that the world needs. But if we don't play to those strengths, it doesn't matter. I mean, Canada today, given how we are positioned in this world with the natural wealth that we have and the lines to consumers that exist, we're like the mid-90s Chicago Bulls. But Justin Trudeau is like the coach walking in the locker room and saying, look, I know you guys are really good at basketball, but turns out in Europe, soccer is huge. So you're now a soccer team, right? Football for my Europeans. And the players go, look, no, we're a basketball team. We're really good at basketball. And the coach is, no. Soccer's huge in Europe. We're going to be a soccer team now, right? That's what's occurring right now in Canada. That is the analogy. And we need a massive change in leadership, not just a swap of the leader of the existing party, We need administration change to wipe the slate clean. You know, Canada came through the 2008 financial crisis with a healthier balance sheet than any other G7 nation. And that's because of how we leveraged our natural resources. We can do it, right? It's absolutely possible, but elections matter, leadership matters. And that's why Canada today is making headlines all around the world, which never happens. But right now, everybody wants to talk about Canada for more reasons that I discussed. Obviously, the rhetoric coming from our southern neighbor, which we can get into, that'd be fun. But that's my stance today. Federal leadership who understands their role is to clear bureaucracy and fast track projects. You know, I think it hasn't been a phenomenal location because of overregulation, but there's risk in any jurisdiction, right? You look at a lot of the jurisdictions that lack overregulated industries. What you end up with is weird political risk, you know. And so Canada is frustrating to do business, but at present it's predictable. So there's a pro and a con there. We have the potential, Kai, and inevitably we'll get there, right? Economics will drive the future of this country. I believe that, you know, and we're the world's #1 uranium producer. We have a product that the entire world is now positioning to accept. We will find a way to get that to market. But, you know, you can regulate a phenomenally positioned country so if you go back to the beginning of the 20th century, there was a country, one of the wealthiest in the world, and their wealth was largely built through very intelligent immigration and a very strong commodity export industry. That country was Argentina, right? And all over the world, the term, the wealthy Argentinian, was known because it was such a wealthy country. It's like the wealthy American today. Now, they got hit very hard during the Great Depression, and they didn't recover like so many countries did. Instead, they went full populist and then voted socialist. Now, they are just today getting their feet back under them, but that was a 90-year loss of productivity that occurred in a country that had all of the right ingredients, very similar to Canada. They had it all going on. All the inputs were in place, but poor policy cost them a century of productivity. By 1989, inflation had hit 3,000% in Argentina.
Jay Martin points out that Canada faces a leadership vacuum, leaving the country vulnerable to various challenges. While Trudeau's resignation was celebrated by many, it signifies a strategic move by the Liberal Party to improve its chances in the next election. By replacing Trudeau with a more viable candidate, likely Mark Carney, the Liberal Party aims to present a stronger challenge to the Conservative Party. Mark Carney, former Bank of Canada governor, is often credited with steering Canada through the 2008 financial crisis. However, Canada's resilience was due to strong leadership and sound policies implemented before the crisis, not Carney's actions afterward. While Trudeau's departure marks a shift, it's just the beginning of a new chapter, and Canadians must remain vigilant about the direction of the country's leadership. Moreover, Martin also exposes that global investment flows have surged into the U.S. since Trump's election, reflecting confidence in strong leadership and breaking long-standing records. Similarly, Argentina saw significant gains after Javier Milei's election, highlighting the impact of leadership on investor sentiment. For Canada, securing the right leader could send a powerful message to the world, signaling a return to prudent financial management and focusing on the country's strengths, such as resource exports. This shift would restore global confidence, attract capital, and benefit Canadian-listed companies by improving the nation's reputation in the worldwide economy.
We're leaderless right now. That's what Canada is. And that's why you're seeing so many attack vectors land on Canada right now. You know, the parallel that people should draw from this, because when Trudeau resigned, a lot of people that did not like him celebrated and they thought, finally, he's gone. But that's not really what happened. This is the exact same as directly after President-elect Trump debated President Biden. And you remember that debate. Trump won by a landslide, and the Democrats freaked out and thought, we can't run this guy. He has no chance of winning. And so they did the hot swap. They put the new branding spin on Kamala Harris and ran her instead. Now, obviously it didn't work, but I think it's fair to say that she did present a bigger threat to Trump than Biden would have. That's all that's happened in Canada. The Liberal Party has read the polls. They've read public sentiment. They understand that Trudeau will not defeat anybody if he's run again. And so they've done the hot swap. They're choosing the next jockey they'll put up front. It's probably going to be Mark Carney. And just the same, Mark Carney presents a much greater threat to the Conservative Party and Pierre Poilievre than Trudeau did. Doesn't mean he's going to beat him, but he's a much greater threat. So Trudeau resigning actually strengthens the Liberal Party's chances in the next election. Canada, I love this country and I love the people in it, and they're tough, durable, creative individuals. It's generally speaking just a more liberal country than the United States. And so given the opportunity to vote for a responsible liberal, that's a compelling choice for a lot of Canadians. What I want to tell people who are trying to make this decision is that Mark Carney was the former Bank of Canada, and he took that seat in 2008 and stayed until 2013. And a lot of what you're going to hear is that he was the individual who steered Canada through the great financial crisis. We did skate through the 2008 great financial crisis, but it's not because of what we did from 2008 to 2013. It's because of what we did from 2005 to 2008. It's what you do in front of the crisis that determines how you migrate through it, not what you do afterwards. We had very competent leadership in the years preceding, and that's why we were set up with an incredibly healthy balance sheet. But people who are celebrating the resignation of Trudeau, I get it. And I celebrate alongside you, but don't take too much for granted, because this is just at net investment into the United States since Trump's election. What you'll see is the world recognized a strong leader coming to power, and inflows into the US are breaking records right now and surpassing every other country in the world by a landslide. And not just because it's the United States, we're breaking sort of norms over the last 10, 15 years here. That event, and just the same, if you had invested in Argentina on the day Milei was elected, it ended up being a great decision. And so if we get the right leader in power in Canada, that sends a message to the world saying, we are now under prudent financial management. We are now going to operate according to our strengths as a country and start contributing meaningfully to the global economy, and no longer pretending to be something that we're not by creating these fallacy narratives into industries that Canada does not excel. We're going to get back to what we're really good at. We're going to contribute. And that's the message that the world needs to see. That's going to benefit all Canadian listed companies because of the perception of Canada at the global level. And capital will return, but only when the globe has confidence.
Jay Martin underscores the critical role of strong leadership and strategic focus in unlocking Canada's immense potential as a global economic leader. By prioritizing resource-driven policies and prudent governance, Canada can regain investor confidence and re-establish itself as a top-tier mining jurisdiction. Drawing lessons from historical parallels like Argentina, Martin emphasizes the importance of avoiding policy missteps that could hinder long-term growth. A leadership shift and a renewed commitment to Canada's strengths are essential to attracting global investment and securing a prosperous future. How can Canada effectively balance environmental considerations with leveraging its natural resource wealth to attract international investment? What policy changes are necessary to reduce overregulation and fast-track resource-based projects in Canada? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. If you found this helpful video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more content. Thanks for being a part of our journey.